the ASPL asked the ASM if they would write a recommendation letter so that they could attend NYLT. So they asked the CM and the COR to write a recommendation. What? Hey, ScouterStan, let's talk about that. Acronyms are everywhere in scouting, and if you've been in scouting for a little while, you got most of that. So you understand that acronyms can be like a code. It can be very confusing for a lot of scouts and scouters, especially if they just got in. This is our first episode, by the way, of our 10th season. This is incredible. And I'm really looking forward to the next 24 episodes of the channel, of this season. It's going to be incredible. And of course, if you have questions or anything, you just go ahead and drop them in the comments, and I will be there to answer those questions. Now, this episode is for packs, troops, crews, and ships. It's for all of scouting. It will focus mainly on packs and troops. And it's important for packs to understand what's going on in a troop, and the troop level needs to understand what's going on in a pack. So those two are kind of connected. The crew and the ship and all the other stuff that scouting has, those things interact with mainly a troop. So the focus, again, comes back to the troop. Now, last season, I asked the question of youth. How many youth are actually watching these videos? And there seems to be quite a few. They're not tracked by YouTube because this is a channel that's meant for adult leaders. So we don't actually make content for youth. The youth are watching these videos. So that's very important to keep in mind. A lot of these acronyms, you can't hide things in scouting. It's an open book, okay? We need to keep that in mind. Don't try to bamboozle the youth by using acronyms or something like that. That's not being trustworthy. So I know you wouldn't, but there are some scouters that might. So definitely keep that in mind. And the youth do watch these videos, and they put comments in all the time. And that's fine. We're two deep leaders. We believe in YPT. We've all been trained. And that's one of those things. So using acronyms, you got to be very accurate on what they are. Now let's do some of the basic stuff that's out there. Now it's going to seem kind of remedial. You know, it's going to be stuff that you already might know. But there are viewers that don't. And it's important that new people that are getting into scouting, and thank you so much, we need to make it easier for them to understand what we're talking about. And the basics is a great place to start. Now let's start with this guy. This is Baden-Powell. Now some people would say Baden-Powell. I've heard all the different arguments. So he didn't like being called by that. He wanted to be called BP. And that's an acronym that we use today. And I think the reason he liked being called BP, it was always pronounced the same way, no matter where he was. But it also stood for be prepared. That's probably why he liked it. It was not only his name, but it was our motto. And for those that might not know, Baden-Powell invented scouting. It's amazing, okay? So for that, to further your education on scouting, I'm going to put a link right up there, and that will help you know more about Baden-Powell or Baden-Powell BP. Now the next big one, of course, is Boy Scouts of America. This has been the incorporated name of our organization since 1910. That's what BSA on uniforms and we say it all the time. So this is something for new scouters and scouts and scout parents That's BSA, Boy Scouts of America. Now the next one is WOSM. WOSM is the World Organization of the Scouting Movement. It's this patch. That's actually something we have on our uniform to remind us that we're part of that world organization. Now the next one we use all the time, OA. OA is the order of the arrow. Okay, we don't use the smaller words. It's just the O and the A. Okay, and because of that, when we say OA, that's like the Honor Society of Scouting, and it is amazing. If you're brand new to scouting, Order of the Arrow is one of those fantastic things that a lot of scouts and scouters both want to participate in. It is amazing. Another big one is NISA, National Eagle Scout Association. It is one of those great organizations for Eagle Scouts. That you have to be an Eagle Scout to be a member of NISA, and that's a common thing we talk about in scouting, especially when we're talking to brand new scouts that have just gotten into all the rank advancement, all that great stuff, and then they get their Eagle, and at that point they can actually join NISA, the National Eagle Scout Association. Now we talk about this a lot. It's called GTA, Guide to Advancement. This is what adults use when questions come up. This guide will help them determine what the policies and procedures actually are. It is defined. Every paragraph is defined in there. And it is amazing how many people think that a guide is just suggestions. It's not. That is actual policy. So if you're in advancement and you get the questions that you just go, I don't know. This is the guide. This is the guide. You can download it from the website. I will put the link down below, but definitely go there and pick up the guide to advancement. It will help. GTSS. This is the Guide to Safe Scouting. This too is policy. You have to go by what's in this book. It's not a suggestion. It's not, what they want. It's what they demand. That's what scouting works best on. We have to keep our scouts safe, scouts and scouters. We need to keep them safe. And this guide is essential no matter what you're doing in scouting, whether it's a pack, a troop, a crew, a ship, a post. It covers all of scouting. It is amazing. So definitely those two guides are critical information for every adult. Now let's talk a little bit about events. FOS. FOS is Friends of Scouting. This is not done nationwide. Some councils have decided that they're going to charge a nominal fee with registration to cover FOS. That's a very common thing that goes on all over the nation. And in the past, FOS was a voluntary contribution from parents and adult leaders on a unit level. They would actually go to the unit, they would do a presentation, and that's where you could actually make your personal donation. That was something that they do all over the United States, even today. But in some places they don't. So FOS is not everywhere, but it's very important. Now in a troop level, when you're dealing with advancement, you have to make sure that you have a board of review. The Scoutmasters Conference is done before to make sure that all of the steps towards that rank advancement have been made, that it is part of what the Scout has done, and it's been signed off appropriately by the right people in the book. Okay, that's very important. Make sure the Scoutmaster does that. Then they have a board of review, a BOR. Now, the BOR is usually set up by the advancement of the troop, and they sit down with the scout, without the scoutmasters, without the parents. It's all too deep leadership because there's 3 to 6 people on that board, and they are to basically find out from the scout how they're doing. How's the troop doing? This is a wonderful way to learn how to critique things, things you should stop doing, things that you need to increase. Roses and thorns, that kind of thing. Border review is one of those big things. And that is something, the BOR, very important. You'll hear that a lot. And probably the big one that a lot of people think about is the EBOR, the Eagle Board of Review. That is amazing, and it is a subject all to its own. This channel has a whole series for adult mentors. If you want to be a mentor for a Life Scout and get them motivated and moving towards that kind of achievement, that is there. Okay, so definitely look into that. In fact, I will put the playlist right up there. The COH is really important. That's the Court of Honor, and that's where all this advancement is heading to. The COH. That is very important. That's where we recognize the scout for their achievements. It's so important. So for scouts that are in the Order of the Arrow, OA, they have a national conference, the NOAC, which we lovingly call NOAC. NOAC is one of those events. It is amazing. All of the different lodges from all over the America, all over the United States, they go to this, and it's amazing. So I've been to 2 of them, and they're wonderful. It's one of those great things that scouts get involved, scouts and scouters get involved in. NOAC, NOAC. And another big one that comes up is Jambo. Now, Jambo is just a shortened term, okay? It's Jamboree. The Jamboree can be done nationally. The National Jamboree is usually done at the summit. Now, we've talked about the summit as a high adventure base and everything. They actually host the National Jamboree, and the World Jamboree comes around to them. So that is the focus of jamborees. Now, a lot of councils will have a council jamboree, usually every 4 or 5 years, and it will vary. Usually it depends on their calendar, and the national jamboree. So these are things that all the units in that council are involved in. So that is the jamboree term, or jambo as we love to call it. That is some jargon that we use in Scouts. Now, jamborees have been going on for a very, very long time. So ever since Scouting started, there's been world jamborees and national jamborees, and it is just amazing. Now, before we go any further, I do want to invite you to our monthly meeting. It's on the first Sunday of each month, and it's at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. So you're more than welcome to join us and ask questions and just have fun. That's one of those wonderful things about that meeting. I also want to thank everybody on Patreon for their continued support of our channel. And our channel members. You can be a channel member. You hit the join button and join up. There's all kinds of badges and emojis and different things. They even get the videos exclusively for themselves, ad-free, which is an added bonus. And then, of course, if you don't want to join in and do a monthly donation, you could always do a one-time donation by hitting the thanks button. So get involved. I really do appreciate all that you do in Scouting and here on the channel. Now, the next big segment is training. We do a lot of code and training. You may have seen that. You go to round table and oh my gosh, they're talking another language, okay? So it's important to understand what the acronyms are that are out there for training. Now, one of the big ones is EDGE. EDGE is educate, demonstrate, guide, and enable. This is an acronym that we use with our scouts. We constantly teach scouts how to teach a skill using the EDGE method. And EDGE is one of the critical things, one of the critical scouting skills that are done in scouting. So you need to keep EDGE. EDGE is not only for the youth, and the youth to use with other youth to teach them how to tie a knot or how to build a fire or sharpen a knife. You know, these are skills that we use the EDGE method with. And that is incredibly important, but not only just the youth, but the adults too. You can use EDGE method throughout your life. It is a skill that should be used on a regular basis. Whenever you're teaching somebody else something you know, you become that instructor and you want to make sure you're using the EDGE method. That's the only way to learn. ILS. ILS is Introduction to Leadership Skills. This is done within the troop. PAX, you need to understand that the troop is youth-led and they need to be trained. They've never had that opportunity to lead, so they need to be educated about it, and that's what this does. It gives them that opportunity to learn skills so that they can actually become a good leader. That's critical. So understanding where the troop is coming from as your youth are crossing over, that's an important thing to keep in mind. And the troop runs it. Now, some troops, they make it exclusive for the assistant scoutmasters. They actually run that course. That can be supplemented and even replaced the assistant scoutmasters with senior scouts that know those skills. So they could actually be incorporated. Using the EDGE method, they can actually do a lot of great teaching. Roundtable. Now, RT is one of those things that so many people take for granted. Your districts, throughout your council, there's many districts. Those districts, each one of them has roundtable. Roundtable is the continuation of adult leaders. That's where they get more of the scouting skills, the scouter skills, where the adults are actually learning about program changes, new camps, things that are coming up, opportunities that are coming up for scouts, whether it be a pack, a troop, a crew, or a ship. So that's the wonderful thing about Roundtable, is the continuation of your training. BALOO, that is the acronym for Basic Adult Leader Outdoor Orientation. This is critical for PACs. PACs use this so that they can get the correct amount of BALOO trained leaders so they can actually go and do their overnight camping trips with their pack. This is so important. And your district, and it may not be your district, it might be another district that might have that training. So you can go out of district and do those trainings. That's totally fine. But you have to have trained people in order to take a pack camping. IOLS. That is the Introduction to Outdoor Leadership Skills. This is critical for your troops. Troops do this all the time. So definitely get your adult leaders to get IOLS trained. Now, the ultimate in training is WB. That's Wood Badge. We've done shows, videos here on the channel about Wood Badge, so definitely check out those. Wood Badge is the ultimate in training, so you need to have your adult leaders go to Wood Badge. Recently, little side note, little extra, you can go to Wood Badge if you're 18. Yes, check on it. So that's for my younger viewers, okay? We have a few, so I want to make sure that they get that invitation. Now, a lot of summer camps will have COPE. COPE is the challenging outdoor personal experience. This is something that is so critical for young people to build self-confidence. It is amazing what they do. So if you have a camp, a summer camp especially, will have some kind of COPE program for older scouts so that they can actually build, not only have all that confidence and those leadership skills, but really do some incredible stuff. It is amazing. So you definitely want to go to summer camps that have COPE. Now, we mentioned Wood Badge, WB. There is another one. It's called NYLT. Now, that is the National Youth Leadership Training. That is like Wood Badge for youth. That is incredibly important. So NYLT is what they're talking about, is that training. PTC, that is the Philmont Training Center. There's multiple different trainings that go on at Philmont. It is amazing. Now, this is national level training. Very good for district chairs and people that are behind the scenes. This is something for them. They can go out and do some of that high-end training. And it is amazing, all the different courses. There are other acronyms that they use, but the PTC is the Philmont Training Center. Now, this is huge. This is YPT, Youth Protection Training. Critical. This is critical training. YPT, we're going to say that a lot. Every scouter does. And mainly because youth protection training is just a mouthful sometimes. And sometimes you want to use, you'll say YPT training. It's like if you say it all, it's training. It makes it hard to understand. So it is very important that when you're talking with parents, everybody that's involved in your scouting unit, all the parents, need to be YPT trained. It's not mandatory, but it is best, okay? If you're an adult leader, a registered leader, that is mandatory. You have to keep that up to date. It has to be kept up to date. No ifs, ands, or buts. You have to have that current. That is critical training. That is one of the big acronyms we throw out at a parent night, and we shouldn't. We should always say youth protection training. Now, the next big thing on all of the adult leader positions, every one of them has an acronym. So I'm just going to go through them rather quickly because we could be here all night. So there's a lot of them, okay? When it gets to the youth, if you want to look for the codes that are out there, that are on there, definitely go to that link below and download that PDF. I put together my list of what's out there from what I found. And of course, if you have a code or a acronym that you don't understand, you can definitely put it in the comments, okay? You can do that. And we'll everybody here, we are a team, okay? So that's the neat thing about ScouterStan. This channel has a bunch of people working on all the little things online. Everything else, it's me. So, but that's the case. If you are confused about something like that, definitely put it in the comments. And I will do my best to answer those questions. DL, known as the den leader. ADL, the assistant den leader. CM, cub master, which is part of the key 3 for a pack. The PCC, which is the pack committee chair. And the COR, which is the chartered organization representative. SM, now this is in a troop, a scout master, which is part of the key 3. The Scoutmaster also has ASMs, Assistant Scoutmaster. TCC, which is the Troop Committee Chair. COR, again, for a troop, is the Chartered Organization Representative. Now, the key 3 for your district is your DC, which is the District Commissioner, and they have all the unit commissioners working with them to cover all the different units. DCC, which is the District Committee Chair. And every district should have an assistant to the chair. That's important. In case there's a problem, they can fill in, okay? Or they could take over if need be. So that is a critical position. Now the other packs and troops, they have a COR. In the situation with a district, they have a district executive, a DE. Wow, that's a lot. Oh my, that's amazing. So there's so many acronyms. We didn't even get into the youth, okay? And we have videos on different positions with the youth, and that's incredibly important to make sure that you download that list and check out, what's their letters, and typically, for instance, if it's a troop quartermaster, that's TQM, very, very straightforward. So it can be confusing. So definitely look into that. But keep this in mind. Scout leaders need to say the whole word, quartermaster, okay? You just can't say QMs, all right? Because some people don't know what that is. That could be a problem. And so as we go into this new year, let's make a resolution. Okay, it's a little late in the month, but it's important that we use the entire word, especially around new scout leaders and parents. They don't know what's going on. They got an idea of what a quartermaster is, but if you say QM, they're like, I don't know what that is. So it's important that we make scouting available to all and to help others at all times. So let's keep that going. That's very important. Thank you so much for all that you do in scouting. It's so important that we keep doing that so that we can create great leaders for a great future. That is the wonderful thing about scouting. This is something that we do, and I am so grateful for all that you do in scouting. It is so important. And of course, if as you go along, you run into these things, it's nice to have that list to kind of know what they're saying. So, but it is amazing, all the different things that are out there. And this is just the basics. And I'm so grateful and appreciative of your time and service to scouting. That is so important. And if you think about it, we're making a big change in America. So we need to make that happen. We need to have good leaders. We need them. That's the only way we're going to have a good future, is to have good leaders. That is so important. And thank you for all that you do. And if you like, definitely check out Scouting 101. That's a good one. I'll put it up. So that's a good one. Until next time, I'll see you on the trail.